What is up, everybody? This is your host, a little bit different host this time. Your boy Killer coming at you hot. Dale is out doing family stuff, I think, or working or something. But
Just doing Dale
um,
things.
yeah, busy part of the holidays, but we figured we would sneak in an episode just to kind of recap the year. I'm sure everybody knows how the year has gone, so we won't dwell on that too much. But there were a couple of current events we wanted to touch on as well, just within the past week since we did the last episode of this sort. So we'll touch on that stuff in a second. But first, Prince, how was your holiday? How was your Christmas?
It was good, man. It was good. Can't complain. I enjoy this time of year a lot, but I don't really like the whole like gifts part of it. And of course, I didn't do like any shopping until the day before Christmas. So that was just wonderful on my part. So people ended up getting a lot of gift cards. That was about it. But it's like I never know what to buy people. I never, and it's like even when they're like, well, what do you want? And it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't really want anything, it's like, so then it's like in dealing with my mom, it's like, she's very adamant, you're getting gifts. It doesn't matter. Just, how she grew up, didn't have a lot of money. So there was not always gifts. Right. And so she's very on that no matter what, you're going to have some gifts. And so, of course I just turned to, okay, well, get me socks, get me some underwear, get me books. It's just, I don't care. Just give me, little things. So it's good though. It's that time of year, right? How about yourself?
Yeah, it was good too, man. It's funny you mentioned about doing last minute gift shopping. I went to Target on Christmas Eve to do exactly that. And like you look around there, dude, and it's just like every other person there is like a guy in the same position. Like they all leave it to the last second. You just like you see these like guys, they look
It's
like
always
frazzled, like they've been
it's
like
always
thinking
the
and
men too,
shopping.
right? Like, because if
And
you can just leave it to the women, it gets done. Like if you got a woman in your life, she's gonna get all the shopping done for you. But it's always the
yeah,
guys.
and so it's funny though because you go in and it's just like all these people with these like kind of like consternation like on their faces, like looking up and down aisles, like at all the like
Yeah.
garbage and like the chaos and everything like littered through, and just like I
Yeah.
swear it's like zombies wandering the land.
What
And
can
I
I
was in the
get
exact
nice and
same
quick?
boat, but
Yes.
um, but yeah, it's the gift thing is funny too. I was talking to my sister yesterday at Christmas dinner, and she was like, I was like, "Oh, what did you and your husband get each other?" And
Mm,
she's like, "Absolutely nothing." And I was like, "You know what? Good for you guys, because like it's true.
yeah.
Like you don't really, I mean, you don't need much. Like when you become an
No.
adult, like you just buy shit yourself if you really need it. You know?"
But it's funny, like my brother is completely different. He has a list of shit he wants every fucking year. It's like what the hell, man? Like just
He's
chill
younger
out.
than you, right?
Yeah, he's young, so he's maybe
He's
still
like
in that
still,
he's in that
yeah.
yeah, that headspace. But yeah, it cracks me up. I don't know, usually it's like, okay, I'll just try to, get my mom or get my aunties or something. Just, okay, can you guys just get me something? Because they do all their shopping so early, right? It's like it'll be done 2 months before Christmas even starts,
Yeah.
right? So that's usually my hopes. But this year it didn't all pan out that way, and so I got stuck with having to do a lot of my own.
That's the way it goes, bro.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't think I'm ever going to change that way. I think every single Christmas Eve will be when I do all of my Christmas shopping. I don't see a reason to change. Like it's still pretty easy to do. So
You start doing it enough times, and it turns into a little tradition on its own.
yeah. Well, I find it funny just seeing all the other people in the same boat, like looking at like
Yeah,
stockings and like picking out like Christmas gift bags, and everyone's just like has this look like what the hell
yeah,
am I doing? Like what am I going to get? Um,
yeah.
there's like a strange comfort in that like that chaos.
Well, it was kind of funny
Um,
too. Like for Christmas Day, Bitcoin's down 7%. I'm like, oh, okay. It was like Merry Christmas. Um,
yeah.
it was, there was like, it was interesting. Like, I didn't think, I've been trying not to spend as much time on the old Twitter machine, but it still gets some attention because, it's an addiction, unfortunately, but I'm straight up enough to admit that. Um, and man, there was a lot of saltiness, there was a lot of cranky people, and it was like, man, this is Christmas. Like, why are you looking for shit with other people? Why are you trying to pick fights? Like, it's December 25th out here. Santa just made his rounds.
Yeah.
cheer up. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was crazy. Like there was still people, going at each other, and it was just like, oh my god. It's like, okay, now I remember why I'm trying to stay off of this place. Even during that time of year, we still got it. So
Exactly. I didn't really go on Twitter at all like yesterday or even Christmas Eve that much. I mean, tiny bit, but
yeah.
I was hearing the same thing that there was like some salt, and I think there was that
Oh,
that argument between
some of the
Mac
ladies were going at it,
and
and
was it is it Wisconsin the other one,
yeah,
or am I?
Wisconsin and Mandy, they were going at it, and that was just ridiculous to watch. And it was just like,
Well, it's
wow,
like
okay, Merry Christmas, guys.
it's so weird. So like if anybody didn't see this disagreement, basically Wisconsin like doxed and like took a picture of herself and like smiling with like a Christmas sweater or some shit. Like it seemed very innocent.
Yeah,
And
it was
like
just a cool pick. They got
yeah, and
attacked.
some girl named Mandy just comes like flying off the top rope. I don't know who this Mandy is, but she came in hard and was just like, I forgot what she said, but she's just like she
uh,
like got on her appearance somehow, right?
Yeah, this spanned, like, it's even carried on to today. Like, it started yesterday, and then it's just like, okay, you think it's done and over with, and then started back up today. But yeah, it's just like, all right, whatever. It's like, get a life, right?
It's
Like,
just like you would never do this in real life. Like you would never like
no,
nobody would send you a photo and you'd be like, "Wow, you are an ugly bitch," like, "Oh my god!" Like it's just this is such a crazy thing, but I mean, that's the internet, I guess.
yeah,
Um, anyway, uh, back to somewhat relevant matters. Um, I thought a good place to start would be I think we did this at the end of last year or the end of
mm,
2017 where we looked at the starting market cap of the year and the
mm,
year end market cap. So
yeah,
clearly in 2017, the year end market cap was way higher. We were all feeling a lot better about our investments and yada yada yada.
all had a lot
Um,
more money. Yeah, we were all,
yeah,
yeah, we were better off.
let's
Yeah.
so December 31st of 2017, the market cap was about 612 billion.
Ooh,
It is currently about 130 billion. So obviously quite the decline. This is not news to anybody.
mhm.
Anybody who's listening to this knew that already, but
Living the
I still
dream
think
out
it's
here.
interesting to see just how much it's down.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
Fair market,
it,
but that 100 billion market seems to be, that's a pretty important mark. I think what it got down, it went just below, I think, and then we got the rally, right? Everything started popping off. Ethereum went up pretty much like 100% almost, if not. Um, and so it's kind of defending that 100 bill market cap in a sense, right? It's just, who knows if people actively watch that. I'm not sure, but it seems like a logical place for a psychological level, right? If people were monitoring that a lot. So yeah,
yeah, and that stuff does matter. I
yeah,
mean, psychologically, does it have like a real like purpose? Like 100 billion? Not really, but like just the fact that it is psychological means it
yeah,
can actually have like a tangible effect.
yeah,
um, Sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If people think it's a support level, then maybe they
mhm,
act like it is, and it actually becomes a support level.
yeah, exactly.
Um, I mean, it's kind of like what can be said about these markets that we haven't already said.
Yeah.
And I know people don't want us bitching and whatever, but
Bear
we're
markets, they're
just trying.
fun. You learn so much
Yeah,
anyways. So people never like losing money, but usually if you're gonna learn, unfortunately, eating some losses is kind of part of the game. So
yeah,
I,
it's important.
that's
Um,
the way it goes.
All right. So coming off the heels of that, the first current event is something I saw today. I think the story might be a couple of days old. It's like a day old. So Bitmain, the largest producer of Bitcoin mining chips, is undergoing big time layoffs. Some are speculating to the tune of 50% of their staff.
More
Um,
actually, I'm hearing today more like 85%. It's like,
Jesus. Yeah. I
yeah,
don't think it's confirmed yet, but these are like the
no,
numbers people are throwing
it's,
around. So
it's
don't quote us on
crazy.
these.
Yeah,
But either way, it's a lot. Even if it's
yeah.
like, let's say 40%, it's a hell of a
Yeah,
lot of people.
that's huge. 50% regardless, that's huge, right? Like, that's crazy. Cash crunch, it's I've seen some speculation kind of, just people a little concerned. It's like, okay, well, how could this potentially affect some of the coins that they have fairly large holdings in on the market if they're, cutting down their workforce the way they are? That kind of says like, hey, we need capital and we need it now. we're burning too much. So, okay, well, maybe where do they go from there? Are they going to start liquidating some of their, holdings? It's going to be interesting. Yeah. It's kind of, yeah, it's a crazy situation. But again, it's not really like all, to me, it's not a huge surprise, right? Because of the market we're in. It's a shitty market, tough market. So it's going to be interesting though. See how this plays out in the coming months.
Yeah, I think it's especially interesting too because they just filed for the IPO in, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that, but I mean, the thing is though, like you said, the writing was on the wall because if you're
Yeah.
filing for an IPO, oftentimes it's because you really need to raise capital. Like
Yeah.
you need to actually have some public funding to take that next step and open
Mm-hmm.
up the company to more investors. So
Yeah.
I mean, clearly you combine that with the
And that
markets, and they've been trying to sort of sell the top a bit
Well,
of
and
Bitmain's
they got
valuation.
hit hard with the whole Bitcoin Cash, shit show they decided to get into. Um, so yeah, like they've been, let's raise capital. That's been the thing, right? They need cash. They need to get capital up, and so now we're seeing the next step, right? We saw the IPO steps being taken, and now, okay, now we got the big layoffs happening. So it shows, yeah, they need cash, right? It's
Yeah, and
tough.
I mean, to input some perspective into this, at the beginning of the year, Bitmain had about 1,000 employees. The
Mm,
most recent number has been somewhere around 3,000. So even if it is a really, really big cut, which it seems like it is, let's say they
mm-hmm,
cut 50%, they're still at a higher employee number than they were at the beginning of the year.
mm-hmm,
And of course, at the end of the announcement, they have their little corporate spiel going, we continue to hire and look for the best and brightest. And I mean, they're
mm-hmm,
going to say that, but it doesn't mean
yeah,
that the net amount is still going to be growing. It can still be
yeah,
decreasing. You can fire 10 people and hire two.
mm-hmm,
Um,
yeah,
and I think one of the things I was reading about it too is that it's probably specific sectors within Bitmain that are going to be getting the axe entirely.
yeah,
I think one of the things they were focusing on was trying to make chips for AI and similar applications that require a lot of computing power. And I think what I got from the articles I read was that they're perhaps cutting back on that.
yeah.
I don't think they mentioned that specifically, but that was one of the segments of Bitmain they mentioned in terms of
From
what
what
might
I
be cut
was,
out.
yeah, from what I've kind of heard is if the division isn't making money, it's pretty much gone. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, in terms of like their holdings, I think I would imagine that they've done most of their selling of things they were big holders of already.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I know there was, it got out there, their holdings and all that, especially when they were kind of doing the IPO process and trying to go that route. A lot of info got out there. I'm not sure now on their current situation, but I saw people saying how worried they were about the Litecoin. See, I want to say Litecoin all the time, natural tendency. Litecoin markets, and the Bitcoin Cash, and then there's also the BSV, the Satoshi's Vision market that will probably, that's another holding they have, and even just Bitcoin as a Bitcoin, so it's interesting, and I don't, yeah, straight up, I don't know what their holdings look like right now. So maybe they have been liquidating for a little bit to free up capital. Maybe they haven't done anything at all. Who knows, right? I don't know that stuff, but yeah, they're definitely in a cash crunch, right? So
The good thing is though, I think we will have insight into that holding situation before too long because if they do go public, then they have
mm-hmm.
to pretty much open the books and show everybody all that stuff. So we don't know now, but I mean, we can speculate obviously,
Yeah,
which is fun to do, but we don't
yeah,
really have a clue, but we should before too long, I would
yeah,
think.
yeah. Yeah. And then what
Um,
we also got Charlie Lee. I'll fill this in today that Litecoin's going to be, they got a sponsor kind of for the big UFC event, UFC 232, I believe, Jones versus Gustafson, which is cool. So they got the logo. They're going to be, they got their logo on the mat. Um, I think that's cool. That's a huge fight. That's a huge
yeah,
fight.
I
Like,
mean, you guys have, this, but Prince and I are pretty big MMA and
yeah.
UFC fans, and so this is like an ultra cool thing for us, especially, I would say.
Oh yeah.
In
I
terms
think,
of the
yeah.
impact, yeah. So if you're not familiar, like this pay-per-view on this Saturday, Jones versus Gustafson is probably going to do in the ballpark of like 400 to 500,000 buys. So
Mhm.
that's just buys of the pay-per-view. You got to keep in mind that a lot of those are people with 10 guys in a room or five
Yeah.
people in a room
Yeah.
watching it. So the actual numbers are probably well into the multi-millions in terms
You
of how
got
many people will see
restaurants.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really do still think we're at the phase where crypto is still small enough where anything like
Hmm.
this is a huge boost.
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of overlap between people who watch MMA and gamble and do that kind of stuff and cryptocurrency, as we've seen with it seems like every single one of our guests is like, well, I was playing poker, and then I
Yeah. Yeah.
um so yeah,
No,
it's very cool
I think
to
this is
see.
cool. Yeah, it's like, I think Litecoin's going to be an interesting coin to watch, especially because 2019 it's block halving, which is typically shown that it's a pretty bullish catalyst. So Litecoin is one of those coins that for me, I have that one. It's on my radar. It's been on my radar for a while. I will be building a position in it at some point in the near future. Still gonna wait a bit because got some time, But yeah, it's kind of cool, seeing them, get the sponsorship, kind of opportunity done, and that's a big stage. Like that is to me, that's sweet, right? Like that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see any effect on the price as the event unfolds?
um, that'll be interesting.
I'm gonna
Personally,
go
I don't.
no,
Yeah,
but
I
I
don't think
don't.
it's worthy of
Yeah.
causing, that kind of impact. Say the moment the fights start and then Litecoin starts pumping just
Litecoin just
because
starts
it's yeah,
running.
it's like I don't personally see that happening, but this is crypto. I've seen dumber shit happen before, so who the hell knows? But
No, Dana White is like trying to figure out how to make a Binance account right now, and he's just buying up all the Litecoin before the
you
event,
know,
trying to
I was
front run
thinking to
it.
myself the other day, and it's like, God, CZ, he's got his tentacles in every area of the market, it seems, right? Like Binance is just, they're growing, they're a monster, in crypto. And I was thinking, like, what's next? Is he gonna do it? We gonna have Binance futures? We're gonna get some
Yeah.
shitcoin derivatives. It's some reason it wouldn't surprise me because he's really turned that into a monster, right? But I was just thinking that the other day as I was, walking around and just Christmas getting fucked up, and I was like, I wonder when we got futures coming on Binance. So if we ever do, random thought from Prince, if we ever do, well, you heard it here first. Maybe I don't know. Maybe somebody's already talking about this. I don't know. Maybe it never happens. Who knows? It was just this random idea that popped into my head.
Yeah, we have Shooter, who's a longtime listener, always appears in the troll box. Shout out to Shooter McGavin or Shooter Crypto McGavin. Great alias, by the way. I wish I had thought of that. Um, he's saying Dash has been doing something where
Yeah.
they're on in-flight entertainment screens, and it's apparently a much wider audience, and it's done very little to that
Hmm.
price. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's. I would be
Yeah.
surprised if there's any kind of
Yeah.
meaningful move in
Yeah.
either direction in Litecoin.
Yeah.
And he's also, I mean, I'm not the hugest fan of Litecoin. I think in terms of like usability and adoption, it's just I still think it's viewed as like a knockoff and like
Yeah.
um, I mean, that's not to say it can't be a good investment, like we talk about all the time.
That's the thing,
I
right?
mean,
Yeah.
just doesn't have a use case doesn't mean it
Yeah.
won't run.
Yeah.
Um,
And yeah, that's the thing. I don't really, Litecoin is a whatever to me, but yeah, like I see the trade for it coming up this year, with the halving, you know, so just because it's a piece of shit doesn't mean you can't trade it, right? Um,
yeah,
and
exactly.
that's crypto in a nutshell, right? Like we're all out here trading these shit coins. A lot of these things are trash. Let's never mistake, this, you know, don't fool ourselves, right? A lot of what we were holding is garbage, but there's a market for it. We can trade it. And that's what we do.
Yeah, I think as the the great 21st century philosopher Donnie Crypto says, scams pump the hardest, and so
That they
um,
do.
yeah, I think there is some merit to that. I mean, even if a coin has like a massive pre-mine and like if it
Mhm.
hasn't pumped yet, like all those people who are hoarding the pre-mine, like they want to see a pump, and like and they have the power to do
Yeah.
it. So if you
Well,
can
that's
capitalize on that, and
yeah, like even what we saw, the Bitcoin Cash just go absolutely parabolic recently, right? And some people were, kind of speculating. It's like, okay, this is the exit pump in a sense, right? It's like this is it, So it'll be interesting, and that's shitcoins right there, in a nutshell. You get these ridiculous pumps, and that's usually the opportunity for somebody who's holding a lot to get out. So, you know.
yeah. I one kind of article I wanted to talk about actually, and I'm kind of springing this on you last second, so no worries if you don't have any like
Yeah.
major thoughts on it. But So Bank of America apparently filed for a patent to basically implement blockchain within ATMs.
Oh,
I think for increased security,
yeah,
better record keeping, all that good stuff
yeah.
that comes with an immutable ledger. I thought this was interesting. I think it's one of those things that gives a little bit of credence to the whole like blockchain, but not Bitcoin crowd.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how important this will be in terms of adoption or anything like that. I don't think it'll have really an effect on prices.
No.
But I thought it was interesting to at least because we see company after company that are at least like playing with this stuff now,
Hmm.
and I think that counts for something at least because you have the people who are researching for those companies, looking into it, and they personally might invest and they might, make YouTube channels and who knows. It's just
Hmm.
again, we're still at the stage where anything
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know anything about ATMs or the technology that goes into, having an ATM work, but the fact that they are able to incorporate, blockchain into these ATMs, that's interesting. That's neat developments, and and it is for that crowd of, well, blockchain but not Bitcoin. I guess that kind of can fit into that. Okay, well now they have something on that area kind of going forth, right? And so yeah, it's interesting. I don't. Here's the thing: is I don't know anything about ATMs, right? So it's like I don't know how that even can help ATMs really in the long run because I literally know zero about ATMs. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Did you
I
see
can. Oh, I was just gonna say I
somebody
can definitely see how like it'll help just record keeping and all that stuff. So
Yeah. Somebody was saying Wall Street Journal had an article about like the biggest scam ICOs, or I think it was like the like 500 scam. Or I'm making this up, but it was a big list on scam ICOs. Did you see this? I have
no, I
not.
gotta find this now. This sounds
I
interesting.
I gotta feel like I mean, kudos to the Wall Street Journal for doing this, but I don't think it requires a list. You can just basically say like 99% of them are like scams and garbage. And
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what? Maybe not. Maybe we should. I kind of like I've fallen into this trap of using scam very loosely, and I kind of hate
That's
doing
the
it.
that's the
I
crypto thing, right? Like
Yeah,
everybody calls everything a scam, even if it's not a scam. And
yeah. So I'm
yeah,
gonna backtrack and say vast majority do not require a token of their own, but
yeah.
maybe not necessarily scams where they're outright
There was
trying
probably
to
good
rob people.
intentions. Yeah, good intentions, but slightly stupid idea. So
Yeah, exactly. Um. Okay. Well,
yeah, Hey,
I mean,
yeah.
we touched on a couple stuff from the past week. It's been a little bit of a quiet week in crypto. I think reporters are taking the couple of days off for the holidays as well and everything.
Mm,
But we definitely wanted to get in and at least do a short recap. And for anybody who's missed it, been spending time with family, maybe you can tune in and just kind
mhm.
of get a quick recap of the small but noteworthy stories that have occurred in crypto. So
Yeah. There's a lot
um,
of lot of action going on, folks. If even traditional markets, it is volatile. It's just beautiful the trading opportunities right now. So
Yeah,
yeah, like
absolutely. I mean, today, for anybody who doesn't know, was the largest point increase in the Dow in the market's history, and that's a little bit of a misleading stat because as the
yeah,
overall amount gets higher,
yeah.
the point amounts are going to go higher. I don't know if it's the largest percentage move up, but either way, it was a really really big up move today, and I think back to something I read about crashes and bear
Hmm.
markets, and basically the takeaway is this: the biggest up and down days happen during bear markets usually because people are scared. There's volatility,
Hmm.
and I think Ledger actually had something on Twitter saying, like, "Oh, that's like a really nice up day, but don't let it trick you into thinking
Yeah,
that's all of a sudden the trend."
yeah.
And I
And we've
think
seen
there's a
that here
lot
with
of wisdom
Bitcoin
there.
too. Yeah, we've seen some face ripping rallies that have completely turned the crowd, and it's like, okay, oh, this is bullish now, and we are going in, and the market is changing, and then it gets just a dagger down to the downside, right? It's like it's a bear market, right? You get some crazy moves, both sides.
Yeah, sentiment shifts extremely quickly.
Yeah. I think what
I
crude
never
was
really
up
bought
like.
into this like move to 4,200. I've been burned too many times, and I'm kind of
just
happy that
just
because
chilling.
I had moments where I'm like, should I get back in? Like you get
Yeah,
that FOMO creep, and
yeah.
I'm glad I resisted it till now. And this is not to say I've traded this market well at all, but I think just listening to my gut has served me well lately. So
patience is a big thing, right? If you can just chill out and
Yes.
understand that you don't need to be in a trade all the time, like you know. But here's I'm
Yeah.
just looking crude. Crude is up like 10% today. Like that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is a
I mean,
big move.
well, think of it this way. It's like if we do resume an uptrend, is it really going to matter if I mean if we resume an uptrend and we break the all-time high of 20K, is it really going to matter if you got in at 6,500 or 4,000? Probably not that much. I mean, a little bit. Obviously, you'd have a little bit more profit getting in earlier, but you have to work within the sort of
Under
80% in the middle,
yeah,
not
understand your
the 10%
style,
on the ends of
right?
the move.
Yeah, because understand your approach to the market. Everybody's different, right? Some people want to wait for more confirmation, right? They don't want to jump in and try and catch bottoms and shit like that, right? And that's fine. That's I there's a lot of people who trade like that, and it's there's a reason for it because it's the safe way to trade, right? But if you're more active in managing it and you can actually spend the time on it, then yeah, there's a lot of good moves to be trading right now.
Yeah, volatility is a trader's paradise, depending upon what kind of trader you are, of course,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
for scalpers. But alrighty, dude. I mean, we covered the
yeah.
few stories that I thought were interesting. Anything else you want to leave with the listeners?
No, that's about it. Like, I hope everyone had a good Christmas, and I hope everybody's staying safe out there. Dale would want to say hoot skis for the boys and tip your
Yeah.
waitress, and
Just
um,
say thank you to everybody. I tweeted this out on the podcast account too, but we really do appreciate everybody listening, downloading, subscribing, telling their friends, all that sort of stuff. That's the reason we keep doing this stuff. I mean,
yeah,
we love to talk crypto, but it certainly wouldn't be worth it if nobody was listening. So we really do appreciate everybody. We know it's been a rough year, but during times like this, I think it's important to remember that life is always ups and downs, and the
well,
down periods are just kind of just the up periods are coming. It just takes some
life is a
patience.
market cycle.
Yeah, yeah, it is in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Alrighty, bro. Well,
All right.
enjoy the rest of your night, everybody, or your morning or your day, whenever you're listening to this. This will be out tomorrow on Thursday. We'll be back in full force next week. We just had a little bit of time off for the holidays, so a little bit of a thinner schedule, but we'll be back at it in full force soon. Enjoy your weekends. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year to everybody. Oh, and vote for the guest of the year. Voting for that is going to close on New Year's Eve.
Tight race. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really tight. You guys can't see, but we can see the results. But just go to our Twitter. You'll see the Survey Monkey thing to vote. Just vote for one person. I think that's all it'll allow. But I think it's a fun idea, and we're
Mhm.
excited to announce the winners. All right.
All right.
All right. Later, everybody. Enjoy your day, your week, yada yada. We'll talk
Peace
to you next
out.
week. Peace.
Yeah.